The sea stretched out like a glittering blue blanket, endless and calm. Floating in the middle of this vastness was the Word Explorer, a sturdy pirate ship with tall masts and bright sails. On board, the crew bustled with energy as they prepared for their next great adventure. At the helm stood Captain Jack, a confident and daring leader with a thick beard and a voice that could command both storms and sailors. He held a rolled-up map in one hand, tapping it against his other palm thoughtfully. "All right, crew," he called out. "Gather round. We've got ourselves a new mission." The pirates quickly assembled on the deck. Among them was Penny, a young and curious sailor with bright red hair tied in a loose braid. She was always eager to learn something new, especially words from faraway lands. Beside her was Tom, the ship's cook, who wore a stained apron and always seemed to have a mischievous smile. "What's the mission, Captain?" Penny asked, her green eyes sparkling with excitement. Captain Jack unrolled the map, revealing a rough sketch of an island with a giant X in the center. "This here," he began, pointing to the X, "is the Island of Words. It's said to hold a treasure more valuable than gold, a collection of magical words that can unlock mysteries and open doors." Tom scratched his head. "Magical words? What good are those? Can you eat them?" The crew laughed, and Penny gave him a playful nudge. "Words are powerful, Tom. They help us understand the world and talk to people from different places." Captain Jack nodded. "Exactly, Penny, and if we can collect these words, they'll make us the most resourceful crew on the seas." The crew cheered, their voices ringing out over the waves. "Set the course, Mr. Gray." Captain Jack ordered the ship's navigator, an older pirate with a weathered face. "Aye, Captain," Mr. Gray responded, steering the ship towards the horizon. As the Word Explorer sailed forward, Penny leaned on the ship's railing, gazing at the open sea. "I wonder what kind of words we'll find," she mused aloud. "Hopefully, ones that'll help me cook better meals," Tom joked, holding up a ladle as if it were a sword. Captain Jack joined them at the railing, his expression serious but kind. "Remember, crew, the journey won't be easy. The Island of Words is full of challenges. But if we stick together and keep our minds sharp, we'll uncover treasures beyond our wildest dreams." The sun began to set, casting golden hues over the ocean. The crew worked together seamlessly, hoisting sails and preparing for the journey ahead. Excitement buzzed in the air as the Word Explorer cut through the waves, heading straight for adventure. The Word Explorer anchored just off the shore of a lush, green island. The crew gathered at the railing, gazing at the mysterious land ahead. Towering palm trees swayed in the breeze, and golden sand glistened under the morning sun. "Is this it, Captain?" Penny asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Captain Jack nodded, holding the map up for everyone to see. "This is it, Word Island. The treasure lies somewhere beyond those trees. But first, we need to find the clues to guide us." The crew quickly lowered a small rowboat into the water and paddled to shore. As they stepped onto the beach, their boots sank slightly into the warm sand. The salty air was filled with the sound of waves lapping and birds calling from the jungle. "Look over there," Penny exclaimed, pointing to a large stone half buried in the sand. It was weathered and gray, with strange symbols carved into its surface. Captain Jack knelt down and brushed off the sand, revealing a single word etched into the stone. "Sun, sun," he read aloud. "That's our first clue." Penny tilted her head. "Sun means the bright thing in the sky." "Right, exactly," Captain Jack confirmed. "The sun lights our way during the day." Tom scratched his chin. "Makes sense. Can't have treasure hunts in the dark." The captain smiled. "Let's practice this word. Say it with me. Sun, sun." The crew echoed, their voices steady. "Good," Captain Jack said. "Now remember it. We may need this word again." The group pressed onward, following a narrow path that led into the jungle. The air grew cooler under the canopy of trees, and the rustling of leaves surrounded them. Suddenly, Penny stopped and pointed ahead, another clue. She said, running to a tall tree with bark covered in carvings. She traced the letters with her fingers. "Tree," she read aloud. "It's a tree." Captain Jack nodded approvingly. "Well done." Penny, a tree is something you'll find plenty of on this island. Let's practice again, he added. Repeat after me, tree. Tree, the crew repeated, glancing up at the branches overhead. The jungle grew denser as they continued, but Penny's excitement didn't waver. She noticed a cluster of colorful flowers blooming along the path. Captain, what about these? She asked, kneeling to inspect them. Captain Jack crouched beside her, reading the next clue etched into a rock nearby. Flower. Flowers make the world beautiful, he said. They come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. Let's say it together, flower. Flower, the crew said, smiling as they admired the blooms. With 3 words now etched into their memory sun, tree, and flower, the pirates felt their confidence growing. We're on the right track, Captain Jack said, glancing back at the path ahead. But the real adventure is just beginning. The jungle around them grew thicker with every step. The sunlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting flickering patterns of light and shadow on the ground. Penny led the way, her eyes scanning for more clues, while Tom carried a bag filled with supplies, grumbling under his breath. This jungle's making me hungry, Tom said, swatting at a buzzing insect. I hope this treasure is worth all the walking, Captain Jack laughed. Patience, Tom. The best treasures are found by those who don't give up. As they moved deeper into the jungle, Penny stopped abruptly. Wait, she said, pointing to the ground. A small stream of water cut across their path, glinting in the sunlight. Look at this, she said, crouching down. Carved into a flat stone by the stream was another word, path, path. Captain Jack read aloud. It means the way we follow to get somewhere. The crew gathered around, repeating after him, path. Penny looked up from the stone. The path is leading us deeper into the jungle. Let's follow it. They continued on, their footsteps crunching softly on the dirt trail. The air was filled with the calls of unseen birds and the rustling of leaves. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the trees. What was that? Tom asked, gripping his ladle like a weapon. Captain Jack raised a hand, signaling for silence. The rumble grew louder, and as they turned a corner, they found themselves standing in front of a roaring waterfall. It's beautiful, Penny exclaimed, staring at the cascade of water tumbling into a crystal-clear pool below. Waterfalls like this are often hiding something, Captain Jack said, his eyes scanning the area. Let's take a closer look. As they approached, Penny noticed something carved into the rocks near the base of the waterfall. Water, another clue. She said, pointing at the word, water is life, Captain Jack said. We need it to drink, to cook, and to keep our ship sailing. Let's say it together. Water, water, the crew echoed, their voices blending with the roar of the falls. Just as they were about to leave, a strange sound caught their attention, rustling in the bushes nearby. The crew froze, their eyes darting toward the source of the noise. What was that? Tom whispered, clutching his back tightly. Before anyone could answer, a colorful parrot burst from the foliage, squawking loudly. It landed on a branch above them, tilting its head curiously. Hello, the parrot squawked. The crew stared in astonishment. It's talking, Penny exclaimed. Parrots can mimic words they hear, Captain Jack explained. He looked up at the bird. Hello, friend. Do you know where the treasure is? The parrot squawked again and flew off into the jungle. Should we follow it? Penny asked. Captain Jack smiled. I think it's leading us to our next clue. Let's keep moving. The crew followed the parrot deeper into the jungle, weaving through trees and ducking under low-hanging vines. The bird's bright feathers flashed like a beacon as it hopped from branch to branch, occasionally squawking words that were barely intelligible. I've never seen a parrot like that before, Tom said, his voice tinged with amazement. It's almost like it's guiding us. Penny, who was keeping pace right behind the bird, nodded. Maybe it knows where the treasure is hidden. The jungle grew quieter as they ventured further, the rustling of leaves and chirping of birds fading into a calm stillness. Suddenly, the parrot stopped on a high branch, tilting its head and squawking one clear word, house, a house. Penny said, puzzled, what does that mean? Captain Jack scanned the area, his sharp eyes catching the faint outline of something in the distance. Over there, he said, pointing. The crew followed his gaze and soon found themselves standing before an ancient wooden hut, partially covered in vines and moss. The structure was small, with a slanted roof and a creaky wooden door. "Looks like it hasn't been lived in for years," Tom muttered, peering cautiously at the door. Captain Jack stepped forward, his hand on the hilt of his cutlass. "Stay close. Let's see what's inside." He pushed the door open with a groan, revealing a dimly lit interior. The walls were lined with shelves cluttered with jars, books, and strange trinkets. In the center of the room sat a wooden table, and on it lay a parchment, rolled and tied with a piece of string. Penny approached the table carefully, unrolling the parchment. "It's another map," she exclaimed, her voice echoing in the small space. Captain Jack leaned over her shoulder. "Not just a map, it's written in riddles." The first line read, "To find the next clue, look where the ground meets the sky, where flowers stand tall, and butterflies fly." Tom scratched his head. "The ground meets the sky. That doesn't make any sense." Penny thought for a moment. What if it means a field, a place with flowers and open skies? "That sounds like a good guess," Captain Jack said, folding the map and tucking it into his coat. "Let's find this field." As they exited the hut, the parrot swooped down, landing on Penny's shoulder. "Field, field, it squawked," she laughed, stroking its feathers. "You're coming with us, aren't you?" The parrot squawked again, flapping its wings. With their new companion, the crew continued through the jungle, following faint paths and listening for the sound of birds and rustling leaves. After what felt like hours, the trees began to thin, and a wide, open field came into view. The field was breathtaking, filled with colorful flowers swaying gently in the breeze. Butterflies danced from bloom to bloom, their wings catching the sunlight. "This must be the place," Penny said, stepping into the field. "Spread out and look for clues," Captain Jack ordered. The crew began to search, carefully inspecting the flowers and the ground beneath them. It was Penny who spotted at first a small wooden sign, partially hidden by a cluster of daisies. She knelt down and brushed away the dirt, revealing the word carved into the wood, "butterfly." "Another word," she called out, holding up the sign. Captain Jack joined her, reading the word aloud, "Butterfly." "A beautiful insect that flutters through the air." "Let's practice it together," he added, gesturing to the crew. "Say it with me, butterfly, butterfly," they repeated, their voices filled with a sense of accomplishment. The parrot squawked the word back at them, as if joining in the lesson. As the crew regrouped, Captain Jack looked toward the horizon. "We're getting closer," he said. "But I have a feeling the hardest part is still ahead." The parrot squawked again, taking off into the air and heading toward the edge of the field. "Follow that bird," Captain Jack commanded, and the crew sprang into action, their determination unwavering. The crew followed the parrot across the field and into a rocky area at the base of a steep hill. The lush greenery of the jungle gave way to jagged stones and sparse vegetation. The parrot squawked loudly, circling above a large boulder that leaned against the hillside. "Why is it so noisy now?" Tom asked, his voice laced with suspicion. "Maybe it found something important," Penny suggested, her excitement growing. Captain Jack examined the boulder closely, running his fingers over its surface. "There's something unusual about this rock," he said. He gave it a firm push, and with a low rumble, the boulder shifted, revealing the entrance to a dark cave. The crew stared at the opening, wide-eyed. "A cave," Tom said, gripping his bag nervously. "Why is it always a cave?" "Because treasure is never easy to find," Captain Jack replied with a grin. He lit a lantern from his pack and held it high. "Stay close. This might be where the real adventure begins." The group stepped cautiously into the cave. The air inside was cool and damp, and their footsteps echoed softly against the stone walls. Shadows flickered across the walls as the lantern's light danced, illuminating ancient carvings and symbols etched into the rock. Penny paused to examine one of the carvings. "These look like pictures," she said, tracing the outline of a bird and a tree with her fingers. "It's like they're telling a story. Words can be pictures too," Captain Jack said. "Every carving here has a meaning. Look for one that might guide us." As they moved deeper into the cave, they came upon a large chamber. In the center of the room stood a stone pedestal, and on it lay a small wooden chest. Could it be? Penny whispered, her voice trembling with anticipation. Only one way to find out, Captain Jack said, stepping forward. He opened the chest carefully, revealing its contents, a single scroll tied with a red ribbon. The crew gathered around as he untied the ribbon and unrolled the scroll. The scroll contained a series of riddles, each written in large, clear letters. The first one read, "What can you hold in your hands, but never touch?" Penny furrowed her brow, thinking hard. "Something you can hold but not touch. Is it air?" Captain Jack smiled. "Good guess, but no, think about it carefully. What do we use in stories like this?" After a moment, Tom's face lit up. "Is it ... a word?" "Exactly," Captain Jack said. "You can hold a word in your mind, but you can't touch it." The scroll seemed to glow faintly as the first riddle vanished, revealing the next one. "I grow, but do not breathe. I live, but do not move. What am I? A tree." Penny said immediately, "It grows, but it doesn't breathe or move like we do." Once again, the answer was correct. The second riddle faded, leaving a single word behind. "Light." Captain Jack read it aloud. "Light. It's what guides us when things are dark. Let's practice that one," he added, turning to the crew. "Say it with me. Light. Light." They repeated, their voices echoing in the chamber. As the final word was spoken, the scroll rolled itself back up and the chest began to glow. The pedestal shifted, revealing a hidden compartment beneath it. Inside lay a small golden key. Penny reached for it, her hands trembling. "What do you think this opens?" Captain Jack held the key up to the lantern's light, inspecting it carefully. "It's the key to the final part of our journey," he said. "But we'll have to keep going to find out what it unlocks." The parrot, which had been perched quietly on a rock, squawked again and flew toward the cave's exit. "It seems our guide knows where we need to go next," Captain Jack said. "Let's follow it." "We're closer than ever now." The crew hurried after the parrot, their spirits high and their curiosity burning brighter than ever. Emerging from the cave, the crew found themselves standing on a rocky shoreline. The jungle was now behind them, replaced by the sound of waves crashing against the cliffs. The parrot soared ahead, circling a jagged outcrop that jetted into the sea. "This must be the place," Captain Jack said, holding the golden key tightly. "The treasure is close, I can feel it." Penny shielded her eyes from the sun and pointed toward the outcrop. "Look, there's something carved into the rock." The crew made their way carefully across the uneven ground, reaching a stone pillar near the edge of the cliffs. On it was an inscription that read, "To claim the treasure, speak the words that light the way." "What does that mean?" Tom asked, scratching his head. "It's a riddle," Captain Jack said, his eyes narrowing as he studied the inscription. "Think about the words we've learned on this journey. They've all been clues leading us here." "Light," Penny said thoughtfully. "That was the last word we found in the cave." Captain Jack nodded. "Exactly. Light represents knowledge, understanding, and guidance. We need to use everything we've learned to solve this." The crew stood in silence, each of them recalling the words they had collected: path, water, house, butterfly, light. "What if we have to say them all together?" Penny suggested. "It's worth a try," Captain Jack agreed. "Let's do it." Standing in a circle around the stone pillar, they began to speak the words in unison: path, water, house, butterfly, light. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the ground beneath their feet trembled, and the stone pillar began to glow faintly. A hidden mechanism clicked, and a section of the cliffside slid away, revealing a narrow staircase leading downward. "Now that's what I call a hidden treasure," Tom exclaimed, his nervousness replaced with excitement. The crew descended the stairs carefully, the air growing cooler as they went deeper. At the bottom, they found a large chamber illuminated by shafts of sunlight streaming through cracks in the rock. In the center of the room stood an ornate chest, its surface inlaid with gold and jewels. "This is it," Captain Jack said, his voice filled with awe. He stepped forward and inserted the golden key into the chest's lock. With a satisfying click, the lid sprang open. Inside, the crew found not only gold coins and sparkling gems, but also stacks of parchment covered in elegant writing. "What's this?" Penny asked, picking up one of the sheets. Captain Jack smiled as he read the text. "It's a collection of words and their meanings in ancient dictionary. This is the real treasure. Knowledge is more valuable than any gold or jewels." Penny held the parchment close, her eyes lighting up. "These words can help us learn and share stories with others." Tom grinned as he picked up a handful of coins. "Well, the gold's not bad either," the parrot squawked loudly, landing on the edge of the chest. "Treasure, treasure," it said, flapping its wings. Captain Jack laughed. "Even the parrot understands the value of what we've found." As the crew celebrated, Captain Jack gathered everyone around. "This journey has taught us something important," he said. "Every word we've learned has brought us closer to this moment. Words have the power to guide us, connect us, and open doors to new adventures." The crew nodded, their hearts full of pride and excitement. "What do we do now?" Penny asked. "We take what we've learned and share it with others," Captain Jack said. "And who knows, there may be more treasures waiting for us on Ward Island." Before they left the chamber, Captain Jack turned to the crew. "And don't forget, if you enjoyed this adventure, be sure to subscribe to our journey and hit the notification bell. We've got plenty more adventures and words to explore together." With the treasure in hand and a new sense of purpose, the crew made their way back to the ship, the pair perched happily on Penny's shoulder. As they sailed away from the island, the horizon stretched before them, promising more adventures and more words to discover. The end. Remember to subscribe and stay tuned for more exciting adventures on Ward Island. Let me know if you need any revisions.